And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Around the Bases with Bubba and Mo, episode 90. The MLB hot stove is going and going strong. Hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving weekend, and we are back with you on episode 90. You can find me on Twitter at BDentric, the podcast at Around Bases Pod, and my co-host, as always, at Boston_Mo. Mo, how we doing?
I'm good. I'm a little under the weather like I talked to you about, but I think we're going to push through it, and hopefully I don't sound too nasally.
It's okay. It's okay. It's good. We'll see if the people are paying attention when we talk.
There you go. There you go.
They'll give them a different Boston accent tonight, so it'll be fun.
Yeah.
We'll get right into it. Adrian Beltre, one of the best third basemen to play in the game. You know, last week we debated Chase Utley and Joe Mauer's Hall of Fame resumes. Well, Adrian Beltre retires after 21 seasons in baseball. This was a multi-time Gold Glover. He won it 5 times, 4-time All-Star, 4-time Silver Slugger, 2 Platinum Gloves. Just finished 3rd in the MVP in 2012. He is a member of the 3,000 Hit Club. I saw a stat here. He's the only player, third baseman, with 3,000 hits and over 400 home runs. So definitely impressive. What are your thoughts on Beltre? And I'm assuming you might agree he's probably a lock for the Hall of Fame.
Should be a lock. Yeah, first ballot. Shouldn't be a question. The guy, I mean, if you really think about it, he had a kind of an interesting career where, he had that. He was the big prospect, coming up. He made his debut at 19 years old for the Dodgers. And then his 25-year-old season where it's, his free agency year, he goes 45 and 121, bats 334, finishes second in the MVP, signs that big contract for Seattle, and really never materialized into the cornerstone player in his prime from his 26 to 30-year-old seasons that they really thought. He was hurt in that last season, and then he kind of rebuilt his career in that 1 year with Boston, batting 321, 28 homers, and then signed the contract with Texas. And that's when really he did his damage, whereas most players, as you know, and especially nowadays, it seems like, it's the 20s, obviously, is the prime. I don't have to tell you that. But he did it all after 30. He really did, and that's what got him into the Hall of Fame. I mean, some of the battles he had with Felix Hernandez was tremendous. People trying to touch his head was tremendous. Elvis Andrus going pretty much after a fly ball that's right next to him. I mean, it was comical all the time in Texas. And, yeah, he should be easy first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he was just a lot of fun, like you said, when guys are trying to mess with his head, or there's different clips. There's the Athletic article. It's got a bunch of Twitter clips of people the day it happened. And, people retire, and there's always people saying good things. But, like, when the Beltre news dropped that morning, it seemed like everybody was like, whoa. Like you kind of knew it was coming, but it was still kind of pretty cool. You should be able to guess this, I'd imagine. But who do you think Beltre homered off the most?
I should be able to get it, but you kind of hit me with a curveball here. So,
well, it wasn't supposed to be scripted. So
okay. Yeah, no, I know but I just kind of didn't even have it in my brain. Mostly AL. So, oh God, I mean, it's not Felix, obviously, because Felix was unbelievable. Yeah, go ahead and tell me. It's going to be someone like Texas or somebody.
Big sexy Bartolo Colon.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense because Cologne was in the NL with them, and then Cleveland and wherever else. So that makes sense.
It's crazy, though. He only homered off him 6 times. Like, for the guy he's homered off the most, for a guy with 477 career homers, the guy's got the most on his 6.
Yeah.
And he had 3 in 04, 1 in 07, 1 in 12, and 1 in 14. So he didn't even get to him early. But the reason I wanted to bring this up also, because I saved this tweet from David Adler, it's – now Bartolo Colon is the only player that's played in the 1990s that's left in baseball.
That's not surprising.
But that's just crazy when you really sit back and think about it. Like, yep, it just continues to disappear in front of our face. So
Right.
Yep. So, yeah, Beltre gone. Another one bites the dust.
Yeah, he's gone first ballot, but let's move on to another team that, probably could be gone if they had promotion relegation in baseball is the Baltimore Orioles. And that is, they've finally hired a GM, still without a manager, going into the winter meetings coming up next week. But they hired their GM. It's Mike Elias, and he's from Houston. So, he's a very young guy. He's sort of quote unquote their assistant general manager. I mean, he had some different titles and whatnot, but he's come up with, through that system. Seems like a pretty good choice just based off of what they did in Houston and what he was able to help build. But we'll have to see. What do you think about this one?
It seems good, like you said, what he built in Houston. We know Baltimore's got a horrific minor league system. They have no real presence in the foreign market, and this hire brings that to them. We've seen what the Astros can do in the draft, what they can do with the foreign players, and it's definitely something the Orioles need. We kind of hit on it when we've talked to Orioles in the past. That was kind of one of their big kind of things they were looking to do with Brady Anderson and some other guys as the new regime started to take over. So I think it's a good move on their part. I know I had Walter McMichael on my show a couple weeks ago when this first started coming down. He's a big Orioles fan. We were talking fantasy baseball, but he talked about it for a bit because he knows way more about it than I did as an Orioles fan, and he's pretty pumped on it. So I think it's definitely a good move in the right direction, but they have a long, long ways to go.
Yeah, and this is obviously not a 2 or 3 year rebuild. We're talking a 5 to 7 year rebuild, unless something could go right. They could get the next couple drafts right, and guys could get there quicker, and maybe they move forward and they're able to use that Alex Cobb money when he's finally gone in 3 years, and Chris Davis, Chris Davis will be gone in 6 years, and so all that bad money will be gone, and Mark Trumbos of the world. So it's a long rebuild. I'm sure Joe and Peter Angelos, I think it's Joe and Lou Angelos. Peter Angelos is the father. So, and Peter Angelos' sons will give him the time, you would think, because they've got to realize where they are right now. And they got to hire a manager pretty soon, because this is I'm not sure I can remember a team that has gone this long without hiring a manager this deep into the offseason.
Yeah, you'd think they'd have someone in place here pretty soon, but heck, the Giants might go through a whole season with no general manager. So baseball's got some wild times these days.
Yeah, but they have their general manager, personally.
No, they hired their leader of baseball operations.
Yeah.
They're still looking to hire a general manager.
Okay, but we talked about this before. He's the general manager. Just because he doesn't have that title, he's the general manager. But I get it. They do need to hire someone that is going to take some of the brunt off of him.
Yeah, but I don't know what the Orioles are waiting for. I guess they're waiting for that cheap young new hire. I have no idea really, because like you said, there's really no reason for them to be waiting.
Unless I know Jim Hickey just left the Cubs because of personal reasons, but I don't know, maybe something happens there. I just shot in the dark there.
Yeah, maybe. All right, let's talk about some big time bucks here. Fox Sports has reached a deal reportedly of over $5 billion to own the rights to Major League Baseball. That'll go from 2022 to 2028. $5 billion with a B dollars. This is insane, Mo.
Baseball's dying, though. It's definitely dying. Yeah, Manfred might kill it eventually, but
he's trying.
I think the first thing they need to do is probably get rid of Smoltz or get him into the 21st century. Like literally, he was such a breath of fresh air when he first started, and then I went back and realized that he was taking over Harold Reynolds, so there really wasn't that much of a you couldn't really go.
The bar was low.
You couldn't really go any lower. Like you could have put me on there, and I can't even speak right now. But like I would have been much better than Harold Reynolds. So I guess that's where we kind of saw it at the beginning, and now he's just so against this analytical thing, and that's maybe they can use some of that money to get rid of him and hire Mike Petrello or somebody like that, or even Eduardo Perez, who was so good on that broadcast as well. So yeah, it's a lot of moolah.
Yeah, it's a lot. And I know Emily Walden, who is a great minor league reporter for The Athletic. She does a lot of Detroit Tigers. She was tweeting some stuff where the minor league will get a portion of this, but it's like it is such a low percentage. It's still ridiculous.
$500.
Yeah, they haven't really allocated everywhere this money's going yet, but they showed what the minor league will get from this, and it's still embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing. We've talked about that quite a bit on this show. The lack of money for those guys. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, they got to fix that for sure.
Real quick, before we go to the next one. We didn't have it on the outline, but it came down today. I'm not sure if you saw it, but MGM is going to partner with Major League Baseball as their official, basically, betting sponsor. Did you see that?
All right. I like this. They just got sports betting in Rhode Island like 45 minutes away from me, so It's William Hill there, but yeah, is the NFL the only sport now that's not partnered with somebody?
Yep, NFL is the only one, and Mandalay Bay is going to be hosting the winter meetings next week as an MGM hotel. So obviously, like I think Eno Saris and some other writers have been reporting that it's kind of been in the works for a while, obviously, but they released it today. They're going to access special, like the MGM will have access to all the baseball apps. Like if you're watching your MLB app, they're going to have stuff on there for whatever. And they're also going to get special analytics given from the MLB to the betting to the MGM. I don't know how they're going to utilize that exactly, but probably not besides just sending lines, obviously, but maybe more with prop bets and other things like that. Maybe we'll get some exit velocity bets and other stuff. Who knows? But they're going in pretty good with these guys, so it'll be very interesting to see how it goes. But everyone's starting to embrace it. And the funniest part was because of live betting in between pitches and outs and all this. Rob Manfred in an interview today talking on this MGM deal said some of the best times in baseball is in between outs and in between innings that we can actually sit back and think and reevaluate who's going to win and lose a game. So he shut down pace of play already.
He just puts his foot in his mouth every time he goes to an interview, whether it's Le Batard last year or whatever. This guy just doesn't get it. I don't understand. I really don't. But all right, let's go to another logo and another franchise that really is not doing well, but they're going to get there with Derek Jeter. But they came out with their new logo and uniform. If you haven't seen it, you'll have to Google it. First thought, I kind of like it. I don't know, Bubba. I kind of like it. I got to get your thoughts.
I like it. I'm scared of the potential mixes. Like if they go Arizona Diamondbacks, they're going to get some really nasty ones.
Yep.
But from just like the simple road and homes I've seen, pretty cool. You can pull some kind of tealish alternate stuff or like a nice orange alternate. I can dig it, but I know they have like the kind of reddish color going in there. So I'm curious exactly what the alternates are going to look like.
Yeah.
But the straight up home roads, I like it. And it screams that kind of South Beach vibe. It's like the Miami Heat's whatever hometown uniforms they call them, whatever. That Magnum PI style.
Yeah.
I like it. I think they're pretty cool.
Yeah, I like them a lot. I mean, they're never going to beat the Florida Marlins hats. I just love those uniforms so much. I mean, the
authentic teal with like the Marlin on it.
Yeah, exactly. When I used to wear fitted hats all the time when I was a young kid, we tried to find that hat. I think my buddy found it, like maybe for $10 at some shop, and it was like the greatest find of all time. And it like was his perfect, size of his head, which isn't that big, but he did find it, and it was tremendous.
No, that was one of the unique ones. The original Marlins and Devil Rays were very special.
I have the Devil Rays. I have that somewhere. I don't know where it is, but it's somewhere.
Yeah. Now if the Marlins really want to do it right, they use these, and then maybe their alternate is a throwback to the originals.
Yeah. How do we not? The NBA obviously does it. The NHL sometimes does it. The NFL just don't allow it at all. Although they had the Broncos ones this weekend, but the Patriots hasn't worn their old Reds. But like the MLB should be doing this all the time. It should be happening like probably a handful of times a month. You should be wearing your like old alternates.
Well, you think they would, especially with the way the Players Weekend's going over so well. But you want to speak about throwback alternates? We have another one, Mo. We have the St. Louis Cardinals. See, we've been doing this for a while.
Yeah.
St. Louis Cardinals bring back the powder blues. And I know when people think powder blues, they like the San Diego Chargers or stuff like that. But these powder blues of the Cardinals are sleek. It's not just a top. It is a top and bottom. It's almost head to toe, minus the red hat. What's your thoughts on these? Because after you're done, I have some special guests we've had on the show that have given me quotes I get to quote for them.
Oh, well, then I have to think that they love it as much as I do because they are Cardinals fans, and I can't wait to hear what they say. I hope I'm not wrong because these are awesome. Like I might even buy one.
Yeah, the way when I see these blues, it reminds me of like how much I love, say, the Astros rainbow ones or some of these just like old school. And
we're not talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers orange that we never want to see ever again. The puke color, like we don't want to see that. This is what we want to see.
Yes, this is amazing. So we got our buddy STL Cup of Joe.
Yeah.
He says, and I'm going to do my best to read properly. I apologize if I don't. Arguably my favorite color. Can't really be upset with the new addition. It's a nice touch to play off the home alternates by having the same logo and print as those just in light blue. Think it's cool of the organization to look back to a positive time in the past while updating to a more modern standard of uniform. No complaints whatsoever. Just want them to make a roster move now too. Our buddy Cardinals Gifts.
By the way, shout out Jaden.
Yep. Good old Joe. Congratulations to him and the wife, and a happy. Looks like everybody's good to go and happy. Cardinals Gifts. He sends me a picture first of the Blues next to the Grays, and he says, "Can you express this verbally?" I said, "Yeah, I don't really see it." He says the Cardinals just introduced their worst looking uniforms. It's really the piping that I don't like on the new ones. That image above is really, and I guess I can't really show you guys the image. That image above, just the late 70s and early 80s pullovers with the Home Saturday St. Louis logo on it. So he's not big on it. Last one, I know this might be boring for some, but our buddy Matt Thompson from Friends of Fantasy Benefits, these are the three guys I contacted right away. He says he thinks it'll take a while to get used to them, but they will look good with the red hat and belt. Just a way to make more money, honestly. If they sign Harper, I'll get this powder blue jersey. So Joe loves them. Matt Thompson's cool with them. Cardinals Gifts, not a big fan.
Maybe them bringing this out is telling you they're going to make that big move.
That's what they're hoping for.
That's what they're hoping for. We'll talk about a move they probably should have made in a little bit. But, yeah, it's I like them. It's – I don't know. I just think of Ozzie Smith in them, and I just think they're awesome.
Yep, I like them a lot. And they got so many kind of young, fun players, and you can picture Yachty in these things. That's going to be great. And Matt Carpenter, come on. It's like, this is awesome.
This is great.
Yes.
So one last thing before we get to the rumor mill, signings, fantasy. My guy, JD Martinez, he had a great year. He was a double silver slugger. He won a World Series. He hit 40 homers. He was tremendous. He was worth the money. Your boy, Chris Davis, and we're not talking about CHRIS Chris Davis. We're talking about Chris Davis with a K. He won DH of the year. I'm not mad about it because he had a tremendous year. I mean, how can you – same batting average 4 years in a row? I mean, that's just impossible, almost impossible to do, but he did it. And, he helped lead with Matt Chapman and the rest of them, the A's to the playoffs, but JD Martinez had a better year. I mean, come on, what are we doing?
Yeah, this is pretty crazy. I just wanted to bring it up because Chris Davis beat him out for the Edgar Martinez Outstanding Designated Hitter Award. And I just wanted to bring up the people that voted for it because I think everyone on the right mind should say JD Martinez was the best DH. Chris Davis had a great season, but Mike Trout had a great season. Also, Mookie Betts is the MVP. That's how it goes. But club beat writers, team broadcasters, and AL public relations departments are the three groups of people that vote for this. So if you have any problems, direct your stuff that way. But just basically want to bring up the fact that JD got shelled again.
Look. I'm okay with it. Ultimately, I'm okay with this because we gotta spread the awards, I guess, a little bit. We can't let
you don't get participation trophies.
2018, it was. I guess it was close enough that you just got to give something. It's like it's.
Are you a tie goes to the runner guy too? Then
no, I'm not. I'm not a tie goes to the runner. I'm not a trophy for everyone. Kids should be losers. They win. Okay, that's how it should be, and parents should raise their kids like that. We can't be participation people. I'm the furthest person away from that. Trust me. But I just wanted more throw in that the Red Sox won the World Series again. So that's my one little. Each episode I'm gonna have to do it somehow. I don't know how, but I will.
Yeah, at least one.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the rumor mill where there's a lot going on right now. Like I said, last year the hot stove was super slow-mo. This year it's on fire already. We mentioned last episode some signings. Right now, Paul Goldschmidt, the Astros, Cardinals, now the Phillies are in hot pursuit of Goldie. It really seems like the D-backs are for sure going to deal Goldie and possibly Greinke as well. Pollock's already gone, so that's a whole other story for another day of what the D-backs are going to be doing. But Goldschmidt to the Astros, Cardinals, or Phillies. And the Phillies have been really active. They're pursuing Harper, Machado. They had met with Pat Corbin today. So Astros, Cardinals, Phillies. If there's one of those three, where's he go?
It's got to be the Cardinals. You would think they need him the most. They don't have to. You don't think you'd have to give up a ton to get him with only 1 year left. They probably make the most sense for that reason. Now, if you're talking about taking Greinke with them and maybe also not giving up as much for both, the Phillies would be in the best position because they have the money to spend. And if they somehow don't get Bryce or Machado, it's there. And it will be only one more year of Rhys Hoskins. And maybe they include Carlos Santana in the deal and eat some of his money too. They'll have to figure that whole thing out. But it seems like they're trying to – they've got the Phillies good. Let's just talk about the Phillies real quick. They've got three options, right, Bubba? I think they're going to get Manny Machado. That's just me. Yeah. I think that's happening, okay? And we'll talk about that next week in the free agency episode. So that's number one, right? That's their top priority. Second is getting Rhys Hoskins back to first base because he is terrible in the outfield. So they have to figure out a way to move Carlos Santana and move that money if possible. 2 years, $40 million. That's all there is left for Carlos. So that was not a terrible deal for them. And then the third is – again, a major shakeup and taking on Greinke's, I think, last 3 years, right? 3 years, 95, something like that. I'm pretty sure it is. And then 1 year of Paul Goldschmidt, and you're able to sort of, quote unquote, go for it without giving up, your financial constraints that you would have for multiple years by making sort of what the Braves did, as we'll talk about in a little bit with Donaldson. So those are their three things. But I think ultimately the Cardinals are the one. I don't know why the Astros would be in on this outside of their farm system's very good. They have Gurriel, and that's it. And that's really what you're looking at.
Yeah, he signed through 2021, about 3 more years on that Greinke deal.
3 more years,
yeah, so he's pretty good to go there. Now, I agree out of those three teams, it makes the most sense to go to St. Louis. It just makes me wonder what they do with Matt Carpenter, maybe move him to second base because I don't think he can throw from third base either. But he could maybe go to third. But it'd be interesting. It'd be a good problem for the Cardinals to have. That's for damn sure. But I'd be curious there.
The Cardinals too. It would be a year where you literally would have Goldschmidt and Ozuna in free agent in literally free agency year. So it would not would be like a go for it year per se. And you got Matt Carpenter who's getting older. But I mean, it's sort of I don't know what to call it. I don't want to call it a bridge either. But it'll be a big year if they did get Goldschmidt. If they fail again, heads are going to roll.
Yeah, it's a good point with Ozuna almost being done. You got Carpenter towards the end, Molina towards the end. The pitching staff's pretty suspect right now with guys with injuries. They're giving Waka, Wainwright some little one more run. This might be the time they got to go for before they kind of really got to mix it up. But then again, the Cardinals always seem to find these young guys that just step in and make it happen. So who knows? But, yeah, that makes the logical sense. Like I said, Corbin met with them today. We'll see where that goes. Corbin's going to be with a lot of people. He's very, very popular right now. But things are moving along. Goldschmidt will be an interesting one, a big asset to somebody.
If they want to give up something for Goldschmidt, why not just go and sign Nelson Cruz if you're the Astros?
See, I think we can, when we'll talk about it next week, I think Nelly's going to Tampa Bay.
Okay. I like it. All right, let's go to one more rumor mill, and this is a big one because Trading Jerry is going to be doing everything he can to get Robinson Cano out of Seattle, but it's like going to be almost impossible with 5 more years of him on the books. But I've heard Mets, I've heard Yankees, I've heard everyone that they possibly could, but I don't know how it's going to happen unless unless they throw in like a Mitch Haniger. It's the only way, or Diaz.
Yeah, they're going to throw a lot of stuff in here. Different tweets. I was just taking photo shots of them today for ideas. Mariners and Yankees possibly because they want the Cano to return to the Bronx, but then Ellsbury would have to go to Seattle, and there's an insurance policy on Ellsbury, so that should travel. Cano still owed $120 million, Ellsbury only $48, so that helps them out. Kind of a way to eat some salary in that respect. The interesting one, though, Seattle sending them to the Mets. The Mets would get Cano, Edwin Diaz, Malik Smith. These are all just possible trades. And then the Mariners would get Andres Jimenez, Justin Dunn, Dominic Smith, and Jay Bruce. So two prospects, Smith and Bruce, in
Poor
return.
Alex Smith. That guy's – I hope he signed up for Miles because he's been all over the place.
So those are the two that I saw today. It's going to be tough, like you said, because there's a lot of money on Cano. Like people are saying on the on MLB Now today that maybe the Giants should try to get him, and that way, his contract will be over when all their other old people's contracts are over, and just make a run with him. I was like, I kind of see what they're saying, but please God, don't do it. There's a lot of weird scenarios and some people are, I don't know. I think actually the New York's one of those teams makes the most sense at this current moment, if any of it makes sense at all.
If they want to bring Cano back, I know they want to get rid of Ellsbury's money, right? If they want to get Cano back to play first base, why not just trade for Goldschmidt?
Yep, exactly. Good. It just
Seems
makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Or, just let Luke Voigt just tear up the cover off the ball again.
Yeah. If
you could have went and got C.J. Cron. Like, there's so many things they could have done.
If you believe in Luke Voigt or Greg Bird, have at it. Because
I don't.
Forever.
Not a chance. But it's going to be really interesting to see where the Cano news goes. The other rumor that came down today, we'll go into more next week, but are you believe in any of this Noah Syndergaard stuff?
No, I saw a deal today when I was looking at Twitter for about a second of my day that was going to be Syndergaard and Darno for Paddock, Lucchesi, and Hedges.
Yep. I was like, there's no way in hell the Mets should do that ever.
Look, I love Chris Paddock more than just like the rest of you, but I know see, that's what's going to happen is they're going to get less for him than he's probably worth just because they're so afraid of him just getting hurt and then getting nothing for him. That's what's going to happen, and then it's going to be blamed on the new GM who's a former agent who, quote unquote, doesn't know anything. So I don't know. It seems low.
It's like if you're going to trade Noah Syndergaard, you can't be trading him with the idea of, well, we have to get rid of him because he always gets hurt. You can't have that mindset. You got to have the mindset. This is one of the top 10 pitchers in baseball, if not top 5. Like this is an elite pitching arm that is still very young that you need to get the top of the top for. But we can talk about that next week. There's Bumgarner rumors that came down today as they finally made it official that they will listen to offers. There's a lot of stuff going on. I just wish they would have traded Bumgarner last year at the deadline. Would have got a lot more for him.
I talked you into it.
Yep, you did. It was a damn good trade offer, too. They should have accepted it. I don't know why the GMs didn't make that one. Let's talk about some signings and trades that took place on the hot stove recently. A big one that popped off. James Paxton is in pinstripes, Mo. James Paxton gets to see you many times this year, and it's going to be interesting. They traded him to the New York Yankees for Justice Sheffield, who many people have been down on outside of his Arizona Fall League appearance a couple years ago. Dom Thompson Williams and Eric Swanson. A lot of the prospect people we follow on Twitter are actually bigger fans of Swanson than Sheffield, if that's anything with that grain of salt type stuff. But Paxton joins that rotation that's filthy, very, very filthy, and they're still looking to add maybe Patrick Corbin. So what's your thoughts on your arch rivals getting one of the top pitchers in baseball?
Look, it's a good trade by them. I mean, they needed a starter. They didn't – well, let's just put it this way. I think in Yankee land, they gave up a lot because they've been touting Justice Sheffield since he's gotten there and since he's really rose up the ranks, right? So that was going to happen. I don't know if Paxton he's not Sonny Gray. Okay, let's throw that out there right now. I know a lot of Red Sox fans were saying, "Oh, the next Sonny Gray." He's not Sonny Gray. He's a very, very good pitcher when healthy. That's a big, big issue is when healthy, and he's going to have next year. He will be out a couple weeks because he'll have something. It'll be something. I don't know what it will be. I hope to God it's not his arm because I like James Paxton. I think he's a very good player, and he finally figured it out. The Yankees had to make this move. People want Machado. They want Bryce Harper. They want all these guys. You don't need hitting. You need pitching, and that's number one. You need another pitcher, and then you should be good. Okay? Is Severino going to be that guy? You don't know. Tanaka still got the arm issue. Paxton still got the issue. Corbin had one very, 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 very good year. So there's a lot of question marks in that starting staff. However, if they got Corbin, and now with Corbin and Paxton, it's a very good offseason, even if you do nothing else. Literally nothing else. And I know they're going to go get a bullpen guy, but that's something we'll talk about next week. But good trade for them.
Yeah, I think it's a phenomenal trade for both sides. I think it gives the Mariners
both side trade.
Yeah, the Mariners got what they needed when they talked about doing this teardown. They got Justice Sheffield. Like he's still pre-arbitration, so they have 5 or 6 years of control of him. Where the Yankees get like 3 of Paxton, which is still outstanding. So that's great. You get 2 other minor leaguers, like I said, that some people are very, very high on. So there's a lot to like in these scenarios. And yeah, Paxton's got his issues. 160 innings last year, 140 in 2017, but prior to that, like 170 in 16. So hopefully you can get like 165, 170, and you'll still have a very, very, very good pitcher. That's been like the biggest problem looking at all these steamer projections, different guys with their projections so far on Twitter, is they're projecting Paxton to go like 190 to 200 plus innings. And I get it with your projections, what you have to project for, but it's hard, like you said, not to factor in, missing 3-4 starts in a stretch somewhere in the season. But regardless, still a great arm. I tweeted out when it happened. He's pitched really well against the East. So knock on wood, that'll be good for him. But I think it's a phenomenal deal. And if the Mariners can make more deals like this when they trade some of their guys, then the rebuild might not be as bad.
I really want to see an Edwin Diaz deal. I want to see, not because I would feel for the Mariners fans. I want to see what it would be like, actually, what would bring back. I think it's more of what I said before. What you said is he'll be in a deal with Cano, so it won't be as much, and we won't get to see what it would actually be. But man, the people would pay a premium for a guy like that, especially with the way baseball is going in the playoffs.
Well, and the thing is, they need to deal him now, because you're not going to have closer years. Like literally, he set the bar so high. He can still be a very good closer next year, and it'll be nothing close to what he did this last year. If they don't sell him now, I don't know when they'll ever sell him. This is the time. Like, you could even take 90 cents on the dollar and get a phenomenal deal out of it.
Yeah, the Braves have enough to go get him, but I wonder if they'd give that much up for
I think they want Kimbrel back.
I know. Well, we'll have to see. So the Nationals finally made the signing that everyone was hoping for. No, not Bryce Harper. Kurt Suzuki. They signed him to a 2-year deal. He's a veteran guy. He's been around for a long time. He's had a little bit of pop in his bat. I've picked him up a few times just because I punted on catcher, and so I'd had him through a couple hot streaks and whatnot last year. I don't think, from what I've read, he's the best framer per se, but overall he's pretty good defensively. So it's just a low key one for them, but it's a veteran guy for that staff where you don't have a couple young guys anymore with Scherzer and whatever, but you're going to have some new starters there, and you're going to have some probably younger bullpen guys coming up pretty soon.
Yeah, I think it's a really good deal. He's been good in Atlanta recently. This is he's returning to Washington. He's played on 4 teams, Washington being one of them. Played with them in 12 and 13. His 13th year is pretty crazy. I remember when he was playing at Fullerton for crying out loud in the College World Series.
Right.
But, he's a good catcher. What I want to see is what they're going to do. I think Wieters is gone, isn't he?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Maybe they use Keyboom. He came up late and played decent. Suzuki's best in the platoon. That's just the way. That's why him and Flowers work so well together. It was basically, okay, you're going to catch half the games, get some rest, and you're going to catch the other half. And that's what I think the best scenario is. I don't think he's a full-time guy anymore. If you look at his schedule, he's 105 games last year, 81 and 17, 106. Then in 2014 and 15, he had 131 in each. So his best 2 offensive years have come in the last 2 years outside of one in 2014. So I'd like to see them go grab someone else or use someone else to come up with him. I know they have totally blanking on the big power righty, I think Severino, that let us all down last year, but he's a big prospect for them as well. But good move, not anything flashy, but that's the kind of stuff we're going to see with some of these veteran guys.
Yep. All
right, you got one of your boys back. My World Series MVP prediction that came true. Steve Pearce is back, and I love it because, you got Mitchie 2 bags. Now you got Steve Pearce. This is a really, really nice deal. 1 year, only $6.25 million. Yeah, after a World Series like that and a postseason like that, you think he could have asked for a little more, but that's a hell of a deal. I don't have much more else to say about this, but besides the fact he's going to be mashing lefties in that division, and James Paxton's on his list right now.
It's a good deal because Moreland's got 1 year left, and you weren't going to go get one of those first base guys like a Goldschmidt. You don't have the chips to go get a guy like a Paul Goldschmidt. So it made perfect sense. They'll platoon next year. Steve Pearce, gets hurt a good amount anyway. So the both of them aren't really full-time first basemen. I was very impressed with Steve Pearce in the playoffs defensively. So there's no problems there. It's setting up for the figure out that power bat at first base in 2020. And it could be Michael Chavis, because third base is locked up for a long time with Rafael Devers. So hopefully they move him over in AAA to first base and they figure that out. He's able to come up maybe late off the bench and help out. And then in 2020, he's your everyday first baseman. So that's what it is. And it's a good signing for the Red Sox.
Yep, most definitely.
Let's go to the Braves. Brian McCann and Josh Donaldson 1 year deals. Donaldson gets $23 million in 1 year. And so that means no Austin Riley this year. But I like this move for the Braves, obviously, because he's a former MVP, played well in September. If he can stay healthy, that's the issue, is there's no DH in the NL, as you know, Bubba. So if he does get hurt and can't throw, he can't bat either. So that's a big, big, big issue if he is not healthy. But I think this is why at 32 years old, he has to take a 1 year deal after last year, which sucks for him.
Yeah, it sucks for him, and it's a great deal for the Braves because, yeah, it's a lot of money, but in reality, if he's back to 80% of what he used to be, it's a steal in this era of baseball. That ball's going to fly out of Atlanta and some of these other ballparks they're going to be playing in the East. There's going to be a lot to like there with Donaldson. If he can't throw, big issue, but you'd have to imagine they did a lot of stuff with him before they signed this contract to figure out if he could throw or not. So I'm going to hope that's all legit on the up and up. I think it's a really solid move there for Donaldson and the Braves. I think the McCann deal is very, very solid as well. Nice cheap deal. Give him platoon with Flowers, a veteran to help with some of these young pitchers. I think both these deals are phenomenal. I think they made a nice splash before the real chaos begins on the hot stove because they were so close last year and they just locked up third base and catcher. They pretty much got to lock up right field and they'll have their starting nine ready to go. And it looks really, really good. And last thing you mentioned on Austin Riley, James Anderson was saying how bad Riley's swing and miss and strikeout percentage was in the minors last year. So this gives him some more time to get seasoned down there instead of rushing him up. So I think it's a great move for the Atlanta Braves.
It's a very good move. They got to figure out that's going to be their big thing, is figuring out what starters are legit and what starters aren't, and then let's make some deals to really speed up this process to get to continue winning NL East like they did in the 90s. That's really got to be the next thing.
Yeah, no doubt about it. One last thing. Over the last couple of weeks, the Tampa Bay Rays, they released C.J. Cron. He had 30 home runs last year. The second guy on the Rays had less than 15. So that was kind of a surprise. We saw this with C.J. With our boy Dickerson, C-Dick, Corey Dickerson last year. And he goes and becomes a Gold Glover and an All-Star with the Pirates and whatnot. So you got C.J. Cron gets just released, basically, gets picked up on waivers from the Minnesota Twins, and there's reports saying maybe they won't keep him. This is kind of just to lock it in for now, but they can play him at first base, play him at DH. I think it's a phenomenal move for the Twins. They got some mashers in that lineup. You just add Cron to that. I don't know what the Rays are doing unless like they go sign a Nelson Cruz or something like I was talking about. But bottom line is the Rays have done it back-to-back years. I recommend anybody that reads Fangraphs or Rotographs, go read Jeff Sullivan's comment on it. That it was titled basically C.J. Cron got Dickerson. It's really good stuff. The Rays just did it again, basically.
But, okay. I get the whole thing where, yeah, he hit 30 homers and whatnot, but he's not good defensively. He does not walk a ton and really had a career year. But you have Jake Bowers, you have Tommy Pham, you have Kiermaier. You've got guys coming up behind them, probably this year, if not the year after. I get that there's some trepidation just because of what happened with Dickerson and how well he played this year, but I just don't it's not that big of a deal to me. I don't think that they lose a ton. I know it's 30 homers, but homers, they're not hard to come by these days.
Well, my other things is he's going to be turning 29, so he's young. He's still ARB eligible. He won't be a free agent until 2021, so he's cheap. He's only spent 4 years in the bigs. This is his first full season, so that's why it's a career year. He's platooned with the Angels forever. He finally got to play 140 games and showed everybody kind of what he can do in a full-time role. And who else is DHing for the Rays?
Well, they're going to figure that out. They got to have another plan. I mean, that's what I think.
But that's my point. When you're naming off all these guys they have right now, they don't have a DH.
But if we said last year that it was very extreme because they did a million things, right? They didn't just do the C-Dick thing. They traded Souza. They did multiple things that shouted to us and said, what the hell's going on here, right? This really I tend to believe that there's got to be a Nelson Cruz or something like that. I know, was it who was it that mentioned that maybe Goldschmidt is the way to go? It might have been Petrelio. I forget.
Maybe.
I think it was him. He wrote an article about it, and he threw in Nate Lowe there, who that could be the guy. He's mashed last year. So they have a ton of guys that are going to be there. So I don't think the Rays are that dumb that it's you win 90 games and you don't take advantage of it. I just don't see it.
Yeah, I'm just curious to see how it plays out because this one surprised me. He's not old or anything, so I think the Twins are going to really enjoy this.
Yeah, I guess maybe I'm a little shocked. Not shocked, but last year I was so shocked, and then it worked out that I'm like on their side. That's probably what it is, and that's why I don't think that there is anything crazy here because. In a few years, he might end up being only a DH anyway.
Gotcha.
So that's probably good.
We'll see how it plays out.
We will see how it plays out in the next few weeks. Let's get to our fantasy segment, and we've been meaning to do this, but going to do a real quick top 10 for right now for us. And again, I started my top 10. I'm going to start everything else. I normally start December 1st, so we'll see what happens this upcoming weekend. But Bubba, I'm gonna go. You want to go 1 for 1, and then we'll keep going. Or you want to go 10, and then you go your 10.
Go 1 for 1. That's fine.
1 for 1. Okay. I still got Mike Trout as number 1.
Yep, Mike Trout as well.
Okay. I've got Mookie Betts as number 2.
Yep.
I've got Jose Ramirez number 3.
Correct.
I've got Francisco Lindor number 4.
This is where I differentiate, and okay. I just pulled up the NFBC thing you posted or on the outline. I hadn't looked at it yet, and I got some outliers here, but that's what makes this fun. And obviously, this will change throughout the off season as more things come out. But right now, I have Nolan Arenado number 4.
Okay, consistency.
Consistency. When I take early picks, I'm going to talk about it last year. I want that consistent factor. I want, like, you give me a guy in Coors Field over some of these other guys. And the other part is when you're talking top 10, you are picking at straws. Like, these are all stud players. Can't really go wrong. But I like Arenado quite a bit at that 4 spot out of the top 10.
Okay. So you got Arenado there. I got Lindor at number 5. I got Yelich.
I got Lindor at 5.
Okay. Just a quick word on, I know his homer to fly ball. I'm sure he's going to go down in homers. I mean, he hit 25 in the second half. I'm sure he's more of a 30 home run guy. I just think with the OBP, the average, the hard hit rate is way up there. He's still going to have a great, great year. And, the steals could go up a little bit. I mean, they've been around that area. So, and the steals are I think that's what we're going to see this year. I mean, you see it with Mondesi, how far he's going up. And I know, in a few weeks when we really get into some guys of their ADP and whatnot, maybe compared to too early mocks and NFBC. I mean, I'm gonna have none of him. It's gonna be like Paxton last year. I'm gonna have none of Mondesi, but the steals are really at a premium. So I like Yelich at 5 for me. And you said you had Lindor there.
I had Lindor, but I want to throw this out there now.
Yep, you don't have
Yelich in my top 10.
You don't have him there. Okay. I like it.
It's nothing against Yelich. It's just that splurge he had at the end. Like, to redo. I know he could spread it out throughout a full season. I get that. But if you look, I'd have to go deep in. I can maybe have the numbers for the next pod. If you look at the first 5 months of the year and then that last month and a half or whatever, he wasn't anywhere close to a top 10 draft pick. But, yeah, it's all that matters is the end that counts.
Yep. 6 for me is JD.
Yeah, I have JD as well.
Okay. 7 for me is Bregman.
7 for me is Ronald Acuna.
Okay.
A lot of it echoes what you said on Christian Yelich. That's why it's weird because I don't really like Yelich the way you do. But Yelich is just outside my top 10, basically. Yeah. But Ronald Acuna, I think his kid, we saw it once he got healthy because he came up, hit pretty well, then he got hurt. And then he got healthy again, and he started just tearing the cover off the baseball. Everyone thought it was Juan Soto's Rookie of the Year, and then Acuna just showed up. That's the Acuna I think we get for a full season now. Steamer projections are they are what they are type thing, but he's projected to be an absolute monster. He's I like everything about Ronald Acuna, and I think you get a 25-plus homers, 25-plus stolen base type guy with like a 280-plus, 300-plus type batting average. This guy's going to be really, really good.
You think what do you think he actually hits for homers next year?
Top of my head, give me 28.
28. Okay. All right. I like it.
Steamer's got him projected for 29. Let's pull his page up. 29 homers, 95 runs, 81 RBIs, 25 stolen bases, and a 278 average. I'd take that all day long.
Yeah, it's very. I mean, it's very good. I have him at 9. Okay. I have Arenado at 8.
I have Mr. Trey Turner at 8. Okay. And that one is what we finally saw last year was a healthy season, a full season. And we saw the power is pretty darn legit, and I think it's going to keep developing that. And the steals are just ridiculous. And I think part of the problem, I got to remember, he got screwed a lot with that screwed up batting average or batting order. They had him like towards the bottom for a while.
Stupid, yeah.
When they finally put him up top, he started running like wild, and all of a sudden, okay, this is why we drafted Trey Turner. So I like him at 8 right now.
Yeah, you got to think 43 is low. You got to. I would hope that he gets much higher than that next year, closer to 60.
Yep.
Okay, and I have Turner at 10. So that my last 4 is Bregman, Arenado, Acuna, Turner.
Okay, I had Acuna, Turner. My 9 is Machado.
Okay.
Part of that with me is I'm factoring in Philadelphia.
Really?
Yeah, if he goes to Philly, dude, he's going to hit like easy 40 home runs. Easy.
Yeah, like if Cano somehow gets traded to the Yankees, like he's going to skyrocket up the ADP as well.
That's what I'm saying. A lot of these are going to keep changing based on certain things, but I'm just putting it in the back of my head. Okay, he's going to be a Philly. He is going to just destroy baseballs, and he's going to have shortstop eligibility in the process.
Right.
It's like think about it. If he's in Philadelphia and you got Francisco Lindor and Manny Machado, who do you take?
I still think I take Lindor because of the steals.
Okay. Yeah. And then my number 10, who did you say you have at 10?
Turner.
I put Jose Altuve in there. I think a healthy Altuve. He was not healthy at all last year.
This is.
Go ahead. I think a healthy Altuve, we get to see a lot more of the guy because we got to think last year it went like Trout, Altuve, Turner, and Turner disappointed. I think a lot of it was the batting order like we just talked about. And Altuve was hurt. Him and Correa are going to be 2 guys that you're going to get for an extreme discount this year, a stupid discount. So Altuve, if I can get him in the back end of the first round, I'll be very excited about that.
Think about this, like the NFBC right now, right? And you look at that. If you're in a 10-team league and you look at that second round on who's in there, and you legit have Trey Turner, Manny Machado, Bryce Harper, Aaron Judge, Jose Altuve, Giancarlo Stanton, who pretty much were all first rounders last year.
Mm-hmm.
They all were first rounders. So that's the key. If you can get that, like you said, you have Yelich outside the top 10. And if you get that right and you say, yeah, I got Arenado up high, I get Arenado, and then somehow I get an Altuve or a Judge in the second round, I might have 2 first rounders out of it.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Like, we won't go super deep, but you want to talk about early first rounders or first round, early seconds last year. Well, now you got Charlie Blackmon going 27th. Like, he was going first round everywhere, and some people were kind of overdoing it, like we talked about. But Anthony Rizzo was a turn type guy. He's going 36th. The one I'm looking for, and I don't see him, I must have passed him. I know what the other is. Yeah, going 33rd is Chris Bryant. He was everyone's favorite to turn first to second round. And right now, everyone's already talking about him. So, like, this NFBC data, it's only gone through 9 drafts, I believe. Yeah, 9 drafts. I have a gut feeling by the end of – when we ring in the new year, by January, Chris Bryant will be 25 or above, and by, like, March, he'll be a top 20 pick. Easily.
You're probably right. Now, just the last question, I guess, is are you kind of like me where you try not to take a pitcher in the first round, or is it no one really deserves to be there, even though for NFBC right now, Scherzer is at 6?
Well, one thing when you're looking at the NFBC deals, their format's pretty tight. Like, I don't think you can trade an NFBC. So,
yeah.
And so now you're relying on waiver wires. So you're going to want your ace. The way I'm going to do it is I don't want one in the first round. Now, say like a Scherzer falls at like the back end. Say we're in TGFBI, 15-team league, and you like the 14th pick and Scherzer falls.
Yeah, that's different, yeah.
Got my attention. But yeah, like what you say, he's going at 5th. No, not going to touch it. I'd rather have JD. I'd rather have Acuna, a lot of those guys. The one thing I am already looking to do, and I think it was Eno Saris that said it. So like last year we had the big 4, then you had that second tier, and then a massive drop-off. This year he kind of – it was him and Collette and all of them at Sleeper on the Bus and some other guys who said it. You kind of put together like a group of – there's like 20 really good pitchers. Now, most guys have said they want 2 of those. Eno's going in with 3. And I looked at it. You can do 3 and still get like 3 good bats in that time frame. And that is a sweet-looking start to your team.
For an auction or for a draft?
A draft.
Okay.
Yeah, because they did their draft in First Pitch Arizona. So I was going over that ADP. Clay Link sent that over, and it's very interesting to see because there was like 3 different drafts that took place, 3 different formats. And then Eno talked about it on a podcast, and it's more – I want to dig into it more once we get more like structured ADP database. Once I play with some more ADPs of my own, I want to see how that falls out because usually I don't feel comfortable taking too many pitchers early because my bats are kind of weak. But we've seen lately you can find a lot more bats than you can find pitching. It's either that or I saw Rudy from Rasball and Jeff Zimmerman and a couple others, a long Twitter thread. If you guys want to look it up, go find it. It's really, really informative about the concept of streaming pitchers. If you're diligent, you can do it very, very well. So there's 2 different approaches, obviously, and I probably have made people really confused, but we can make it a topic for discussion one of these days and break it down even more. But back to what you said, I would like to get 2, if not 3, of like the top 20 pitchers.
Yeah, I think Scherzer is a different beast, and I know DeGrom had obviously an unbelievable year, but like you know what you're getting from Scherzer. Granted, he's almost going into his 35-year-old season, so at some point you would think it would drop off a little bit, but I mean that guy is just a maniac, and you know exactly. Like if you look at his years of the Nationals, and you actually have a wins league, it's 14-20, 16-18, but his ERA is 2.79, 2.96, 2.51, 2.53. And the Ks are always still there, and the walks are pretty much the same. There's a lot there that will tell you that's exactly what you're getting for him, which is why he's probably going so high in a lot of these drafts. Even though you're right with the NFBC, can't make trades, but even real drafts, once the real ADP data comes out, he's probably going to be in the top 10 everywhere, most likely top 8.
Yeah, no, I like using the NFBCs because you got a lot of that format. Once there's a lot more drafting going on, we can start using the Fantasy Pros where they incorporate a bunch of different leagues. I like that. But like to the pitching question again, going 55th right now is Strasburg.
Right.
Going 66 is Greinke. Even Clevenger at 69 is not horrible. Herman Marquez at 71. Folty had a good year at 74. Then it gets a little wild. Like Barrios, Price is at 84. I'd feel good about Price. Mikolas at 87. So basically, that's just Wheeler at 93. So top 100, they're still really, really good pitchers. So I don't know. I guess I'll have to dig into it more. I'm going to start doing my full set of rankings here pretty soon. But that's kind of where I'm at initial looks. I've done a lot of looking at the 2 early mocks. That's kind of what I've gained out of it.
Yeah, completely agree. Very exciting times. Very exciting times. Even though we just ended the season and free agency's coming up in 4 months away, but it comes quick.
Yes, it does. It goes very quick.
For me, unlike you, there's a lot to do indoors. We don't like to
Yes.
go outdoors a lot in January, February, early March.
Yeah, I'll keep you guys updated on my golf game while you guys are doing what, shoveling snow or something.
Appreciate
Yeah,
that.
no problem. It's gonna rain here for like 4 or 5 straight days. I'm gonna be stuck indoors, so it's gonna be like 56 and rainy. So it's gonna be tough. Hey, but Mo, you won a World Series, so that's okay.
That's correct. I didn't say it. You did. That's only still one for me.
There you go. But that being said, everybody, that'll wrap up episode 90 of the Around the Base with Bubba Mo pod. Again, check out Mo on Twitter at Boston_Mo. I'm on Twitter at BDentric, and the podcast is at Around Bases Pod. Hopefully, some more moves coming up. We're going to do some free agency talk next week, some more fantasy baseball, and the winter meetings are coming up real soon. So check it all out. Give us a rating and review on iTunes. We'd appreciate it, and we'll catch you guys later.
See you.